Welcome everyone on today's webinar. My name is Iji Valek. I'm a Vice President of Product Management at Newired. Today we'll be speaking about how to improve ERP, CRM usability, how to make the business applications more intuitive and user-friendly. I have an honor to co-host this webinar with our partner to connect. So it's not just me, but also our partner on the stage.
Yes, thanks, Jerry, and welcome everybody to this webinar. My name is Laurent Matulessi, and I work as a digital transformation consultant for To Connect. So what we basically do is we facilitate digitalization and end-to-end process optimization for our customers. Yeah, so I'm excited to start this webinar today and give you a little insight in the world of digital adoption platforms.
The agenda for the webinar is quite straightforward. I will start and introduce quickly our company, Newired, and why we speak today. Then Laurent will continue from, let's say, To Connect perspective, and they will also give us a unique view into why they believe digital adoption is important for digital transformation. Then I will come back to the stage and I will present our solution in a live demo. I will also speak about some of the unique differentiators that our solution provides for the market. So who we are, who is Newired, why do we speak today? Our goal is to close or at least reduce the gap, the distance between technology, between software applications and us, people that are actually using this digital world. We are on the market for a couple of years, since 2016. We have just launched another version of our solution. And why this is quite important from our point of view, why the customers should actually be interested in a digital adoption platform. There are many drivers. Some of them that the technology is becoming more complex and companies are, let's say, struggling to keep up with that. Also, the digital adoption is actually a must because otherwise many organizations actually fail to adopt the technology fast enough. But it's also the fact that the customers are actually becoming more demanding, more difficult to please. And in the same time, we like time, sometimes we like motivation, or there is too much complexity. So these are all the drivers why we feel that there is a lot of space for digital adoption technology. But before we will actually demonstrate what our technology provides, let me now give my presentation rights to Laurent, so he can actually speak how do they actually see the situation on the market.
Yes, thank you very much, Jerry. So you should be seeing my screen right now. So before I dive a little deeper into the world of digital adoption platforms, let me give you first a short introduction about who we are as a company. So To Connect is a consultancy firm specialized in the digitalization of back office processes. So for instance, ERP. And in the process of recommending about digitalization, we aim to look for best of breed solutions, because the reason for that is because we're convinced that one single application or one single software vendor cannot offer the best solution for every organizational process. So what we see is when organizations actually shift from a best of suite to a best of breed solution, is that people end up getting stuck in their information silos. So they're not really collaborating from an enterprise point of view, because they're stuck and really isolated in their own work within their application. So the focus here lies on the way information flows within an organization and across applications. And we think that connecting technology is therefore key to achieve that and also achieve an optimal collaboration. So in line with this vision, we also have decided to not tie ourselves up to a specific software vendor or to a specific application, because you are then incentivized to recommend their solution instead of the best solution that also is most suitable for the challenges and for the situation of our customers. So this puts us in a unique position to give some fair recommendations about the real problem of our customers. So how do we achieve this connected agility? Well, we first start by creating a digital roadmap, and then we overlap this with the business model of our customers. Next step is to design a flexible information architecture, which consists of components that prevent disruption and allows to be future-proof. So when the architecture is designed, we also facilitate our customers in the selection of the corresponding business software. And during the rollout, we offer some wrap-up services, which basically entails that we take responsibility of the program or the project management, but also takes responsibility about the process design. And finally, we'll also offer some success management service in which we strive to get the best value out of the business software that a customer has. And digital adoption platform is one of such examples in which we can increase the value of the software landscape of our customers by deploying a digital adoption platform. So Jerry already explained the purpose of digital adoption platforms and how it can be used. But I want to take a step back here and have a closer look at the common problems that we see in our industry during digitalization. So first of all, it's worth mentioning that manual labor is always needed in order to achieve automation and to achieve end-to-end process optimization. But in order to achieve that, the people who actually work with technology should also be provided with the proper skill set. This is also something that Jerry just mentioned. 37% of European employees lack basic digital skills, let alone they possess the more advanced skills to successfully adopt new technology. So taking a look at our own industry, it is worth to close this digital skills gap. And we see three main causes that employees lack these digital skills. So first of all, technology on its own is quite complex, and especially considering the functionalities it has to support your business. So obviously the complexity increases as the number of technology our customers work with becomes larger too, which means that the digital skills gap becomes wider as well. Another problem that we often see in our industry is that many organizations depend on few individuals who have like all the knowledge or a lot of knowledge about one application or about multiple applications, which makes the organization really dependent of those people. Especially when, for instance, one of those people wins the lottery and he leaves the company, a lot of knowledge will be lost. And it's evident that such specific knowledge should be accessible for the organization at large. The third cause of a lack of digital skills that we see in our industry is that organizations usually make use of still old-fashioned documentation and training material. So in general, organizations create work instructions and they are stored on their company drive and they are created once, but not many people update these training material. And even worse, the employees who should use this training material barely use it in reality. So the conclusion here is not that people are not willing to learn new technology, but that it's difficult to learn new technology when the learning methods are still outdated. So with the use of digital adoption platforms, people are enabled to have step-by-step instructions within the application at any time. And users are trained and onboarded in a shorter time frame, but also the quality of the education increases as they are learning by doing. Enabling users with a sustainable and more engaging training method allows to close this digital skills gap. So what benefits do digital adoption platforms bring to our customers? Well, first of all, the amount of IT support tickets diminish. People are better trained in the first place, but in a situation that they actually need some help, or if they would need some help, they can start journeys on a specific topic or a specific process whenever they want. Another benefit is that it's easier with the use of digital adoption platforms to maintain and to manage the training material. Managers can easily identify where users are struggling or which journeys have become obsolete, or users can give feedback about a certain step of a journey just to make the quality of the journeys better. Well, content creators can in turn easily modify this journey or the step of the journey and then republish it on their live application, and users can immediately use it. In line with the problem that I've mentioned in the previous slide, is that organizations are also less dependent of few individuals who have all the knowledge about an application. All necessary instructions are at hand within the application, so when those people would leave the company, new hires can be onboarded and trained rather quickly. The last benefit I would like to discuss today is the advantage that journeys are stretched across applications. I previously mentioned that process can start in one application and continue in another. And so it is in that regard important that employees are not hindered in performing the task by having to search for the right training material. And these training materials often also end to just one single application. So using digital adoption platforms, users can start instructions when they need and perform the task in a smooth way. But furthermore, instead of creating an own workaround for the process that they should go to do, they need to do, employees perform the task as it was supposed to during the configuration. So these are the most important benefits of digital adoption platforms from our perspective in our industry. And Jerry will now show you, give you a demonstration on how journeys assist users, when they work in a CRM application and must sign off using Sign Now. So thanks.
Thank you, Lauren. I think this is really a great intro from the business point of view, what we are actually doing. And it's a time now to actually dive a little bit deeper into our technology. Our technology is called Newired Journeys. That's our flagship product. And simply what it does, it gives you an ability to attach an interactive assistance layer to any web application. So as Lauren said, you can actually learn by doing, so the people are not trained first and then they forget and then they are frustrated, but anytime they need, they can get the guidance into the system anytime they need that. And instead of just actually speaking about it, let me show you a real life example of such a guide or step-by-step tutorial. As we already have heard, what is really important from the real life perspective is that people don't need to be trained on tools. What they need actually, they need to go through a standard operating procedure from beginning till the end, and the procedure may span across multiple apps. In this case, what I want to show you today is an app that will actually help you to create a quote in the CRM system and then send it with the for the electronic signature via a different application. So we have here the Zoho CRM system, and these little pop-ups that you see on the screen, that's what you can actually attach to any web application with Newired. And you see that it gives you these on-screen instructions that actually tell people where to click in the first moment, how to actually create the quote. You see that the guide is actually, let's say, interactive. So once I perform an operation, it automatically goes to the next step. So it tells me now I should select, or I was supposed to create a subject for my deal, and now I need to attach it. In this case, because I should review it, I have to confirm this step, and now I need to select what product will be on the actual quote. You see that these instructions can really describe the procedure, what the user needs to do. And as I said, sometimes it's not so trivial to actually find out what to do on the screen. So we can also, let's say, highlight the precise element. In this case, for example, where to set a price. This will be $99. And you see that now we were guided through a procedure step by step, but now it's the time that I should actually review my quote So it gives me a moment to think about it. Yeah, okay, let's also set the validity date. I may also apply that the conditions are standard. So you see, I can review all the data and continue once I'm ready with the process. How do I continue? I should save the quote now. So I saved. It tells me that the quote is now created and it's ready to be shared with my potential client. I go here, click these three dots, click export to PDF. So once again, we are not a vendor of the CRM system. We are not a vendor of ERP system. We let everyone to attach these instructions to any system. And as we will be able to see in a moment, it's not just to actually guide people through one application, but if we follow the guide and we select now the template, we need to save our quote to the file system. So it generates the PDF. And now the system will actually open another application, which in this case, it's an application that allows me to actually share the digital copy of my quote for the electronic signature. So the system automatically opened this application sign now, and I'll be actually guided to upload my document. So I should upload here my quote that we have just created. It tells me that I should wait for the quote to be uploaded, and now I should select it. Now the system opens the quote, and I'm again advised to actually drag and drop my signature box into my quote. So you see that we are really guiding people not through a simple use case, but really step by step through a procedure that may take maybe 15 minutes. Now the quote is ready to be sent via email. So we actually click here on this button as we were suggested. And it tells me that I should actually fill in my the email to which the quote will be actually sent. I should click on the button send invite. And if everything works correctly with the application, we believe that was easy. So I can end my tutorial with the feedback that was great, and give the digital onboarding authors a hint that they should continue and enrich the applications with more of such, let's say, digital assistant or tutorials that are really embedded into the screen. So that's what we do. We actually enable people to actually connect these interactive tutorials with any web application. And let's speak a while about what are some of the other functional and non-functional characteristics of our solution. And I will start with something that you may all ask. Okay, this looks really great. I mean, that we can have those as tutorials in the application, but how do I actually create them? And from our point of view, the very essential thing is that these tutorials should not be written by technical people, by web developers. It must be really simple to create them by people that are very close to the users. Why is it so? Because what we know is that anytime you roll out any technology, you need to make sure that the people will get trained on it. You train them, and then the people, or not the people, we all forget. So we need to be retrained again, and then the process will change, because that's real life. That in the real life, the ERP processes, the CRM processes are getting constantly updated to become more efficient. And if the process is being changed, then comes the frustration, because what we have been trained on no longer works as expected. And exactly because of that, because we all know that this is happening, we always had in our mind that it must be very easy and simple to actually produce the content without any technical skills. So the content author should be really focused on training aspect of the journeys, not on the technical difficulties. And how we do it? Let me just open our Newired editor. So that's what you see on the screen is our editing interface. Again, if here we have a browser, this hosts another CRM system that we just use for a demonstration like that. And we want to create a simple guide, a similar guide that we have created or we have seen a couple of minutes ago. How do I create it? In a fully visual interface. So I want to create a guide, how to create an account in the CRM system. Usually you start with a little introduction. So welcome. You will learn this and that. It's a common practice that before you jump into the actual, let's say, training or tutorial, you introduce what you will learn in a specific, what we call a journey. The first step should be here that the user should click here on this create button. So you see, I visually, let's say, select this element. I should click here. Maybe I should put this here to the left. The second step should be actually that the user should click this create account button. So again, I just select the element. I want to again position it here to the left. And what should be next? Next should be that we want the people to actually fill in the name. So again, I just select this name field, type account name. And you see that actually in this way, you can actually draw the procedure visually without any coding, without any technical skills. And once you create it in this editor, you can just test it. So we now run it. So we see that I should click here on this procedure, and it actually helps me to understand how to go through it step by step. And I can demonstrate whether it works or not. Once I'm ready to actually publish that to the actual end users. So this is our technology to enable people to actually create these guides. Again, in a simple interface, but a robust technology. Why robustness is important? Because you definitely need to be ready that the target application, the CRM system, the ERP system will change over time. And even if it changes, these guides, these manuals should continue to work. Second important characteristic that everyone needs to care about today is security and privacy. You may think, what type of the data we get if you attach such interactive component to your ERP system where you really probably have very sensitive data. It's important to understand that from our point of view, we don't manage your data. So you can set up these digital adoption tools fully on your premises, in your environment, or in our dedicated cloud. We provide some of the analytical functions, but you can also set up Newired without any data collection. So from data point of view or data privacy point of view, the digital adoption technologies do not bring any additional risks into your business. Content publishing. I already spoke about that in a minute, but you need to actually understand that anytime you produce a content and the digital overlays, these tutorials, this is the actual content, you need probably to make sure that the content is good enough. So you need to test it, you need to verify it, you need to validate whether it's good enough. And what we do, we provide, let's say, robust but simple publishing workflows. Why is it important? This is important, and let me go again back into the live system, is that if you remember that we have created this technology here, we have created this little new manual that is attached to this CRM system. And now the question is, how do I make sure that this goes live? How do I make sure that these guides will actually get visible to the end users? What I need to do, I need to actually publish it. And this process of publishing is managed by the third component that I just want to briefly introduce to you now, and this is called a portal. The portal is the management interface when you can manage multiple versions of your content. So actually, to publish the content, you need to submit the actual changes. You can submit them for the review first. So before the content will go live, it needs to be reviewed. I can actually export these content to MS Word document that contains the, let's say, the content of my journey in a format that testers can use it as a test reference. People that need to translate the content to a different languages can take it as a reference. Or it can be also used for the very formal electronic signatures, etc. So we have an interface that actually manage the way how the content will get promoted to the end users in a reliable way, so it gets reviewed and approved before it goes actually live. Now, multi-application support. We already spoke about it, and let me just recap that because that's important. You have seen me that I was creating this guide in the CRM system. But what you need to understand is that the way how I created the guide for this one single CRM system is exactly the same procedure as if I create the guides that span over multiple applications. This is exactly what Lauren was also saying, that we are living in a world where we are all using a plethora of tools during our day. And very often, let's say, really, when we need to achieve something, we need to use many of them. And when I was opening our Newired editor, you can be really 100% sure that the same process can be actually used not just to actually create an application in a one system, but actually to manage the journey, the guide that goes across multiple different systems. Multi-language support. There are applications that are designed for a primary language. There are many of them that speak just English. But actually what we see is that very often our customers, they actually make it more easy to onboard people on these tools in native languages. So it must, or it very often it is, in our customer interest, in your interest, to actually provide the guidance in multiple languages. Or the other way around, you already have an application that you have rolled out globally over the world that speaks different languages, and you don't want to create the guide for each language variant from scratch, because it's actually just one process that is translated into multiple languages. And we actually have a pretty smart approach how to handle it. So how we do it, if I go back into our management portal, into our, let's say, online management interface, you can actually translate the content independently on the process of creating the guides. So what I can do, I can actually prepare the journeys, as we have already seen with this drag and drop visual interface, where I can just create the guides without any coding. And once I'm ready, I can say I want my system to be translated into Spanish. And all what I will do, I actually download the translation files, and these translation files, I can send it to my translation department or freelancer or to my colleague, and he or she will translate that into a target language with the use of the industry standard tools, because our translation system is based on the XLIF, on the standard format. You get the files back, you upload them, and from this moment, the guides will start speaking different languages. So the great thing is that we fully separate the process of creating the journeys and the process of publishing and translation of the content for, let's say, anyone on the market. Last but not least, the business model. We provide a very transparent and easy to try interface. You can actually evaluate our product immediately from the business perspective, or we, let's say, charge per use. So the more users are actually guided, onboarded, the more you pay. So it's very fair pricing model. To recap, we have a solution called Newired Journeys. It's a user guidance and onboarding that just works. You can connect it with any web application. So it's simple and easy to create these guides for any target web application, the SAP ERP system, NetSuite CRM, Salesforce, but also, let's say, technical platforms like Siemens Teamcenter, etc. And what we are really especially proud of is that our technology is very robust. This is really a key differentiator against our competitors, that we have patented algorithms that make sure that when your target application change, these guides will keep working. Security and privacy. From the early moment, we have designed our system to definitely support the very high enterprise challenges to make sure that you can have different deployment options. You can fully host it on premises. We understand that quality is important, so that's why I give you the workflows to actually control the process of creating these guides. These guides do not work just on top of the isolated applications in the silos. They really work across multiple tools. They speak different languages because we are all speaking different languages, and all of that packed in a transparent, easy to try and fair business model. Thank you. We still have around 10 minutes for the potential Q&A session, so I'll just open the Q&A panel and we can go through the questions. So let me just open it here on my screen. So the first question dates maybe for you, Laurent. Is there an ideal customer for a technology like Newired? How can you comment on that?
I think the ideal customer is a customer who has technology. It sounds a bit easy, but Newired and digital adoption platforms can be deployed in every application that opens in a web browser. So it doesn't matter if it's ERP or if it's CRM or even EPM. Any customer who has such technology can make use of journeys. So, yeah.
There's one question that probably I can answer, which is how much time does it really take to create the guides? Of course, it's hard to tell because we have seen two different variants. One of the guide that's spent from, let's say, multiple tools. Then I was showing something more simple, just how to create an account. But honestly, I tend to say we speak minutes, not days. Reality is somewhere, it really depends how much also complex your process is. For example, we are not living in a world where people make no decisions. So as you go through the tool, sometimes the people need to go or need to decide whether they go, let's say, into direction A or in direction B, and the guide itself needs to adopt itself to actually respect what the user has decided for. So of course, you have more and more decisions like that in your flow, the more, let's say, complex is the process. But it's also something that we really support. So if you compare Newired to the traditional training systems that are usually very linear, so they just go from A to B, we can actually respond to the actual user decisions. And what they actually, let's say, how do they go through the flow? What skills do I need to actually create the guides? What skills? This is again, I was speaking already about that. We believe that we are looking especially for the people that understand the user. So understand what that these people should be more like a trainers, like a teachers, than a technical people actually implementing some of these flows. So we make our system easy to use to just ensure that the subject matter experts, the process owners, these are the roles that should be capable of actually, or not just should be capable, these should be the people that actually create the guides, because then you can actually make sure that the people will get the right guidance, that is not too much technical, that is not just too simple, that will go how to go through the login screen, because everyone knows how to log in. The users are facing more difficult actual challenges.
Yeah, and if I may add on that, I think the most important thing that you might need is some process knowledge, because the editor is actually quite intuitive. It's quite easy to deploy such to create journeys and to deploy it. But I think if you understand how processes flow within an organization and across applications, that is the most important knowledge you should need for designing these processes.
Mm-hmm. How does the implementation look like? That's one of the questions I see here, and actually I've heard that also in the past. So from an implementation perspective, Laura, what would be your recommendation, let's say from the independent perspective?
Yeah, so my recommendation would be just to go into your systems, go into your technology, and just have a look at how users are interacting with the system, and just translate that into how visual contextual guidance would help the user in actually performing those processes and tasks within an application. So it's just more like a process where you just first gather the requirements and then just translate that into how the users can be guided with the use of a digital adoption platform.
Yeah. Another one here, and that was probably the question that was asked at the beginning, was what are the main differentiators to the competing digital adoption platforms? I tried to cover them when I was speaking really about some of these, let's say, functional capabilities. I would highlight especially the robustness, because there are many tools on the market that when you evaluate them, I mean, from the early moment, you may feel the technology is similar, that they have a similar kind of the, let's say, graphical user interface. But what I definitely want to highlight are our patented algorithms to make sure that the guides will keep working after the target system is changing. Once there is a new version of the Salesforce, once there is a new version of SAP system, because we have seen too many cases when our customers were actually kind of dissatisfied from their previous experience with other tools, that anytime there was a new version of the target system, the people were actually forced to redo the guides from scratch. And that's definitely another case with Newired. And I would name one more if I can, and this is this ability to host, let's say, our platform in a dedicated cloud or on your premises. We also believe that that's really something that, even though it's just onboarding, what we see is that we have medical customers who are producing, let's say, journeys for the system that runs in the hospitals, and they really want to host everything on their infrastructure and not to rely on some software as a service options. So we really have very flexible deployment options to provide that. And point number 3, we also hear that from the time perspective, if you compare us to the competitors, we provide really the tools that guarantees that you can really create these guides in a minute. It doesn't take too much time. May you guys tell me the best one for CRM, Newired tips or journeys? It's not A or B. Actually, I've been speaking today a little bit more about the journeys where the journey is the step-by-step guide, where the tip is a great complement to journeys. From the major release 21, we merge these two technologies together. So from last week, we only sell one technology called Newired Journeys, and tips and journeys are integrated to the single platform. And what tips do, they provide a great entry points into the system. Because from my point of view, the digital adoption is also about inversion of control. So traditionally, the people need to search for the help. And with the Newired, you don't no longer need to search for the help, but the system will promote the guidance to you somehow automatically. And the tips are a great way how contextually let the user know there is a guide. But not just there is a journey, there's a guide. We also have received a wonderful feedback in a way that you may already have existing knowledge base. And what you want to do is basically, you know that you have a lot of articles, but no one is reading them. No one is watching these videos. No one is reading these articles. And you can make just these contextual tips, and these tips will just promote your articles in the knowledge base. And we have measured that this impacts the rate, let's see, the number of people actually reading these manuals a lot. Actually, let's see, the analytics were saying that the customer was saying that the people are reading these kind of external knowledge base articles 10 times more than before. So the tips are the great way how to promote the content. Tips, but journeys, videos, knowledge-based articles. So it's really not just A or B, it's really something that you should use together. And we see that, let's see, no matter if you speak about CRM or if you speak about ERP, digital signatures or whatever, it's really great thing to combine them together. We are at the end of our 45-minute slot. Thank you from my side. Thank you, Lauren, for helping me today to speak about our platform. Let's stay in touch with you, clients, with you, Lauren. Thank you.
Yes, thanks so much.